A lot of people say that AI sucks at writing YouTube scripts. They think it kills your personality, can't write something that sounds natural, and doesn't get real results. Yet I've used it to create scripts that consistently book calls for clients. But instead of just showing you the results, I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna write an entire YouTube script from scratch using AI, and I'm only gonna give myself 30 minutes. This way you can see if it actually speeds up the process or if you're just better off writing the scripts manually. And I'll show you everything. I'll create a brief, build an AI project, write the script, and revise the entire thing. Now, the first thing we need to do is create a brief, because most people open ChatGPT, type in a 2-sentence prompt, and then wonder why AI doesn't actually spit out something that works for their videos. But the reality is AI is only as good as the direction you give it. And that's where your brief comes in. It's the strategy behind your video that tells the AI what you want the structure to look like, how you want it to sound, what you want to talk about, and pretty much everything in between. This way, it writes out high-level content instead of something that's just generic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through by going through one of my own strategy briefs. So I'm going to pretty much lay out this entire thing from scratch. We're going to do it for a cold email video because I've worked on some cold email clients in the past. And essentially, we're going to spit out as much information here as possible. Now, this is going to be the goal. So like top of funnel outlier video, that's not going to really be needed. That's more for like manual process. The title I already have. I found some stuff before this just because I know what to add. This is all just research that I'm probably going to give it. Might not give it anything crazy. Now the overview, copy this cold email system, it'll blow up your business. So I'm probably going to do something like just like basic cold email stuff. I'm going to lay out the structure here. If you don't know anything about cold email, this part might be confusing, but we're going to have an intro. We're going to have, let's do infrastructure, cold email scripts. Let's do lead list, cold email scripts. And we can include follow-ups here. Apollo to Ample leads to Clay. We'll say that's like a normal thing. Infrastructure, mailer, intro's fine. So we'll go infrastructure, lead list, cold email scripts, and then we can upload them into the platform here. So I think that'll pretty much be good. And now that'll be good. This has all the information we need. Overview. Now I'm pretty much just going to talk to AI and give it an entire, I don't want to say prompt, but I'm just going to run it through what I want this video to do. I'm going to speak to it. So I'm just going to cut to that when it's done and show you the overview. So this is the overview that I gave it. I want to do a cold email system and frame this video as a step-by-step guide on the system to achieve result. For example, I pretty much just laid through exactly what I wanted to do, gave it some examples, told it to have some placeholders there. We're going to cover everything here. I want it to be 16 minutes long. Not that this will always be the same exact thing, but it depends what I'm just thinking strategically. So yeah, I pretty much just thought through whatever it was unclear for me this way, because I figured AI is probably more unclear than I am. So now I need to add in the payoffs. Why should they stay to the end? To learn how to set up a cold email system that books calls. What is at stake? They're left with cold emails that don't book calls, ultimately wasting time and money. How will we get there? 3-step process. What will we promise that they'll know the exact system I use to book calls from cold email? What credibility we have on the subject? We'll just say 500 calls booked. Then I'm going to have it do a mid-roll CTA, and then I'm going to have it an end video CTA to a video about cold email scripts, we'll say. Before we'll use a mailer. Okay, let me think through this part. Okay, so I'm going to do buy Y domains, set up X accounts, upload into smart lead list. That should be good. Now that's pretty much what I'm gonna run with for the brief. Now that's pretty much everything I'm gonna run with for the brief. As for the actual script, I'm gonna now create a Claude project from scratch, although I already have something that's built out. This way you guys can see what that actually looks like. So we're gonna head to claude.com or claude.ai actually. We're gonna go to projects. You're gonna go to new project. You can just name it, describe what you're trying to achieve. And then once you get there, you'll have instructions. So this is what I have as the AI scriptwriter. If you want access to this entire script writing doc, by the way, you can just hit the link in the description where it says to sign up to the newsletter and you'll get this entirely for free. But like I said, if you want these instructions and these scripts, just hit the link in the description, but you'll upload the instructions and then you'll upload the the files as well into the knowledge base. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this brief, I'm gonna download it as a PDF, and I'm gonna give it a super simple prompt. So let's come here, let's go to here. I want you to turn this strategy brief into a full script following the instructions given. Now the next thing I want to do as well is just upload all of the research that I gave it to. So all you got to do is download the copy YouTube transcript extension. I'm just going to go through and copy and paste all these. So now I got all the research in there. I got my strategy brief in there, and I literally gave it this simple prompt because I have the instructions in there already. And then I'm just going to hit send. Now, as you can see, it's spitting out something. I have it analyze the input. I have it choose a script type to actually like implement, and then extracting the style. So it goes through all the past scripts that I uploaded for it to get my exact tone, sentence structure, pretty much everything about the style. Then I actually have it write out the script. So we could see here, copy this. I booked over 500 sales calls in the past year using one simple cold email system, but it isn't some crazy AI workflow or complicated setup. It's actually the opposite, because after testing, the system that books the most calls is the one that's the easiest to execute. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system I use. This way, you can copy and start booking calls yourself without wasting months trying to figure it out. Most people overcomplicate this. They think it needs exactly whether no. So instead of giving you a theory, I'm going to walk you through. So you can see like the intro, I think there's going to be a few things we end up switching around here. But then we have the pretty much, these are how we structure scripts. It's going to be like the why what transition. And then it's going to be like a teach section where we just like go and like show a screen share, usually something really easy where it's like hop on, like screen record yourself for Claude. Like for this script, it's like, you know, hop on Claude, walk through the project creation. And that's like kind of what this is. So see if we got the mid-roll. Now I know setting all this up can be a headache, and you rather just have cool, awesome, building your lead list, cool. Okay, so I think this is pretty solid. I don't want these to be in code, but besides that, okay, so we have a copy and pasted it into the Google Doc. And as you could see, like that was pretty basic. We didn't do anything crazy when it comes to Claude prompts or anything. We already had the system built out a little bit, but that's kind of how the process looks. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and pretty much just revise this live to see how much time it actually takes, because this is the part that's most important, or where most of the effort's gonna come in, because this got us pretty far. Now, I'm just not gonna be able to throw this out there into the ether and see it perform. So I'm gonna pretty much dial up everything, explain why I'm switching it, and pretty much see if we can fit it in, because I think we're making great time as of right now. I guess it's gonna be pretty simple. So I booked over 500 sales calls in the past year using one simple cold email system. I think that's fine for an opening line, I would say, but it isn't some crazy AI workflow or complicated setup. It's actually the opposite, because testing 100, I've learned that the system that books the most calls is the one that's the easiest to execute. I would say that's logical. That's like, and in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system I use. This way you can copy and start booking calls without wasting lunch. This is weird to go back into that. So I would just delete this. I'm just going to read this out loud because this is kind of how I revise things. I booked over 500 sales calls in the past year using one simple cold email system, but it isn't some crazy AI workflow or complicated setup. It's actually the opposite, because after testing hundreds of different approaches, I learned that the system that books the most calls is the one that's the easiest to execute. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system I use. This way you can copy and paste it to start booking calls from cold email. We'll cover setting up your infrastructure, building your lead list, and how to write scripts that actually get responses. So by the end, you'll have everything you need to launch your own system. I think that's pretty solid. I booked over 500 sales calls in the past year using one simple cold email system, but it isn't some crazy AI workflow or complicated setup. It's actually the opposite, because after testing hundreds of different approaches, I learned that the system that books the most calls is the one that's the easiest to execute. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 3-step system I use. This way you can copy and paste it to start booking calls from cold email. We'll cover setting up your infrastructure, building your lead list, and how to write scripts that writing scripts. Yeah, it's like a different. And writing scripts that actually, we'll cover setting up your infrastructure, building your lead list, and writing scripts that actually get responses. So by the end, you'll have everything you need to launch your own system. Now, before we can send a single cold email, you need to build a foundation. This is where most people either spend way too much money or set things up completely wrong because you don't have the right infrastructure, you're going to burn your domains, land spam. But you set it up correctly from the start, you can send thousands of emails per month and actually land. So I think that's fine. Buy domains, set up accounts, upload, perfect. I don't really care for this. Track reply rate. Yeah, I don't care for that. I think that's just like, in my mind, just going to ruin retention attention. Like it just, nobody cares about that really. I think that's good. Mid-roll, I think it could be more specific, but I'm gonna let it fly just because we're getting a little close to the timeline here. Rather just have someone build this. Okay, I think that's perfect. But either way, once your infrastructure is ready, you need people to email. And this is where most people waste the most money. I kind of just said that above. This is where most people either spend way too much money, or I would say they waste the most time, because this is where people waste the most time, because they'll just export thousands of leads from a pod without thinking about quality, then end up with zero responses. So, but either way, once your infrastructure is ready, you need people to actually email. And this is where people waste the most time, because they'll just export thousands of leads from Palo without thinking about quality and end up with zero responses. So they have to start over from scratch. Now, the reality is you need to be strategic about who you're reaching out to. You need to find leads that actually, this means finding leads that actually fit your ICP, verifying their information, and making sure you're not just spamming random people. I would say making sure you have all the relevant data. And here's how I go about it. Okay, and then we can go into Apollo dashboard. Cool. Ample leads. Cool. Enrich and verify and qualify. I don't mind. Verify. I'm gonna have Clay kind of combine these three. I think this section can just be combined into like 3 to 5 bullets and 3 to 5 sub bullets, rather than each having their own step. So let's see what that spits out, but I think that it's gonna be a lot better. Just like, I don't know, I don't feel like reading through all this and just like going through that. It wouldn't make sense. It feels like too long. But relative to the information, I think the information's all there. Like this is good information. It gives the presenter a good opportunity to just hop on camera and like go through their process, but I don't want them to like be boxed in. So yeah, let's go through this. Enrich, qualify, and verify in Clay. Awesome. So now it's just like more like a Clay little process. Yep, much better. Now you have your infrastructure and your leads, but if your emails suck, none of that matters, because I see with perfect setups get zero replies. I don't want to use get zero replies when they're messaging. I've seen people with perfect setups get zero replies just because their messaging is completely off. The good news is you don't need complicated, you just need a simple script. That's pointless. The good news is you don't need complicated personalization or fancy AI workflows. You just need, that doesn't make sense. You just need something that sounds like a human, that looks and sounds like a human. Yeah, I like that way better. Okay, this is like code, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. I don't want it to go through all of this. I'm just gonna say for the bullets here, don't give me real scripts, just prompt me what to do. We'll see how that works. Just because I think, once again, I mean, whoever's going to present this, not that this is like an actual client script, but somebody who's going to present this is just like going to get boxed in by stuff like this. I don't really want that. But even then, I don't think that this is like a bad script. Like the AI came up with a great like thing. Like this is very applicable. I'm sure people would resonate with that. Yeah, I'd rather just leave it like that. It just makes it a little bit easier for the presenter. Cool. So now we got email template, follow up. Yeah, I like how it's explaining why it works as well. I don't think that matters for this frame of video, so I think that's pretty much good. And I'm just gonna run through this outro. Now that's the exact cold email system I use to book hundreds of calls every single month. That's not the frame we set in the top of the video. Book calls, cold email, and you should be able to set most of this up yourself. However, there are some details we couldn't cover in one video, like handling objections. I don't think that's a thing. Optimizing deliverability and scaling past like X, Y, and Z. Or to say, I think these need to be more logical, just because I don't think those are accurate. But if you want to see the exact scripts that convert replies, however, there are some details we couldn't cover in one. I want to push them to this actually. Okay. All right. So this is a strategy issue. I shouldn't have put them to a script thing if I just talked about scripts. So if you want to see, I'm going to push them to a full guide. See an entire guide going over that process. Just watch this video and I'll see you there. Let's see what he says here. Dude, if anything, it should be like, I'm gonna have to tell it. We're getting closer. So if anything, because we did the scripts, we did the lead list, we did that. Let's talk about offers. Let's do offers. Let's do deliverability. And then let's do, off the top of my head, I mean, what did we do here again? We did infrastructure, lead list, and deliverability is not even going to make sense. So as you can see, this is the stuff that's kind of like taking the most time, honestly. Like the rest of it was pretty much good to go, but we just want to make sure everything's completely logical, especially when we're doing an outro, which is like kind of one of the most important parts of the video. What to do when people reply. So we see if it can choose 3 of those, so I don't have to read through all of them. I'm gonna run with that because, you know, we're pretty much cutting on time. I want to get this done as fast as possible. I think it could be a little bit better, but that's kind of how the whole script looks, and that's kind of what we got. So we have the introduction, which I think does a great job of being like a strong hook, stating credibility, and then also going into like an open loop where it's like, you know, a simple cold email system. We could show an open loop of editing on the screen, but it isn't some crazy. So we're kind of like handling objections here. It's actually the opposite, which creates some curiosity. A little bit more social proof, and then talking about the system again. And then we're explaining like the roadmap by telling them we're going to actually walk them through the 3-step system, and then kind of like what that's going to help them do, and a little bit of like a tease of what's in the video. So overall, I think it's pretty solid overall. So I think it did a pretty solid job, and we made timing pretty well. And that's exactly how I use AI to write YouTube scripts. But even the best script won't book calls without a killer strategy. So if you want to see how to create a content funnel that actually generates leads, you can watch this video, and I'll see you over there.